New York City Mayor Eric Adams has asked the White House to declare a state of emergency over asylum seekers. Is that something the president is considering?
All I can say is this. We are having a conversation, regular conversation with the mayor of New York City, and obviously as well with the governor of the state of New York. And these are conversations that we have had for some time.
All right, more conversations, I guess, taking place. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, though not directly answering whether or not the president, the Biden administration, would declare a state of emergency over the illegal migrant crisis.
Yeah, more Democratic-run areas dealing with a surge of migrants, pleading with the federal government for help. In New York City and several other states, several other cities as well, and this call continues to grow. National correspondent Mike Carter is live outside the Roosevelt Hotel in New York City, where hundreds of migrants are now calling home. Mike.
Hey, good afternoon. Good morning again, Sean, I should say. Well, the frustration of this illegal migrant crisis is being felt by everyone who lives in this city, including New York City's mayor. But now we're getting word from Albany, the state capital, the governor of New York, expressing her frustration with the mayor of New York City over his handling of this migrant crisis, sending a scathing letter to City Hall this week. That letter reading in part that the city faces a serious crisis and has also failed to accept the state's offer of assistance and should do more to act in a proactive manner. Since last spring, more than 100,000 illegal immigrants have arrived in New York City. More than 58,000 of them are now staying in one of the city's nearly 200 emergency shelters. Housing illegal migrants is expected to cost New York City taxpayers $12 billion by 2025. And Eric Adams has, of course, called the Big Apple a sanctuary city in the past. And while criticizing border state governors for not coordinating and communicating with New York City, where migrants were being bused to, Adams calling governors like Greg Abbott and Ron DeSantis, quote, morally bankrupt. But Adams has also bused migrants to other communities himself, sending busloads of illegal migrants to suburban communities upstate New York without coordinating with those communities first. Last night in Queens, chants of no tent cities could be heard by protesters outside of the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center. That's where a new giant tent facility has been built to house migrants. And that's where Guardian Angels founder and former New York City Republican mayoral candidate Curtis Sliwa was arrested for blocking traffic to the facility.
Eric Adams, you have forsaken your own people. Kathy Hochul, you have forsaken your own people. This is the New York State Psychiatric Facility for residents of New York, for American citizens.
All right, so nearly 200 facilities, emergency shelters built to house these nearly 100,000 migrants that have been here since last springtime. These shelters keep filling up, Sean and Emma, and the city right now is really kind of at its wit's end on what to do with them. Right now, Eric Adams wants to allow these illegal aliens to be able to get work permits so they can work ostensibly to find sheltering of their own, be able to pay for sheltering of their own if they don't have family in and around the area. But right now, the city very much in desperate need of help. Eric Adams even calling out the Biden administration now and saying the situation needs to stop, and it needs to stop at the border first.
All right, Mike Carter again reporting live right outside the Roosevelt Hotel, again where many migrants in New York City calling home this hour. Mike, thank you. Appreciate that. Jeanette Hoffman is back, a Republican strategist. Clearly, this has been for years now, this has been a topic of discussion, seemingly a Republican talking point from the border. This has moved on to various states, various cities, and now it's a Democratic talking point. Why the shift?
Well, I think, first of all, Republicans have called Joe Biden out from the beginning about not doing enough to stop the crisis at our borders. But now these blue state governors like Kathy Hochul are seeing the impact that busing all these migrants to New York is having on her communities. New York City, New York State simply cannot withstand paying all these additional resources, I think you said to the tune of $12 billion in New York City. Our communities just can't withstand it. It's not fair to the migrants. It's not fair to the people of New York. And now blue state governors are starting to realize that they need to do something about this. But all I'm seeing from them is pointing fingers.
Yeah, and I was going to say the solution of just a job, applications here and permits doesn't necessarily solve the problem either. because that doesn't account for housing opportunities or, you know, the challenges students who face who speak a different language when they're attending school. If the teacher doesn't speak the same language, you're going to have a learning problem.
Right,
also.
and our schools don't have the capacity to do this at this time. So you're overwhelming our resources here, and the housing situation it's really terrible, and it's unfair to the migrants because they're brought here under false premises that, you know, you're going to have such a better life in America, and you see what's happening at the Roosevelt Hotel.
Yeah, you see, again, sanctuary status, that could get you what you see there, and seemingly New York Mayor Eric Adams wanting to pull back on that. As you take a live look right now, again, this is just one small spot in front of the Roosevelt Hotel. This is the scene of what it looks like here, where, again, these illegal migrants are being sheltered in place. Again, not even enough room for them there. They're trying to find other places for them to go at this hour. All right, we'll continue to follow that for you.